Welcome back. In this week's episode, we discuss the tragic passing of Queen Elizabeth II and the end of an era. We discuss Biden's evil speech declaring half the country evil MAGA Republicans who are against democracy. And we discuss the problem in California with electric cars. I'm Luke.
And I'm Rody.
And this is the Right Side of the Compass podcast. So, Rody, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was great. I was in the city, hanging out with some friends. It was very nice.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Awesome. All right. So we have to get to our topics. We are running on a tight clock today, but before we continue, I do want to let you know that in order to continue producing this content, we're going to need your help, dear listener. We need you to hit that like button, share it with all your friends, and subscribe to the channel. In addition to that, you can hit the bell for notifications to be notified of our latest uploads when we upload every week. In addition to being on YouTube, we're also on platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google, etc. Everywhere where you can find your favorite podcasts. So please look for us there as well and give us a 5-star rating or the equivalent of that on your platform of choice. We worked hard on this episode, so we hope you enjoy. Anyways, now on to topic number one, which is, of course, the unfortunate passing of Queen Elizabeth II. And it's interesting because as American Israelis, it's kind of, well, how do you look at this? How does one look at this when they don't really want a monarch? So it's like, how does
You
one look
mean
at
the
this?
English don't want a monarch?
No, not the English. Like, I wouldn't want a monarch. Like, if I'm an American, so I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's
what it's like
it's
to have
more of
monarchy.
like formal. It's not. It's more formality, and it's less of like actual policy than from. I mean, yeah, she technically, like, really technically, she has power, and if she wants, she can disband the parliament and bring back the Commonwealth, all the other countries back. But she's sorry, not she. The monarch wouldn't do that.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. I think her true power is her ability is as a cultural figure. That's her true power. Her power is that everyone respected the queen, and now King Charles, I suppose, everyone is now going to look at England through the lens of King Charles. England's reputation is put squarely on its king and queen, right? That's the reality. They're the head of state. They are the people that they go and they do diplomacy. That's really what they're there for.
I
And
mean,
but they're also a conservative force in the country. They keep everything together.
yeah, no, they seem very like traditional, conservative.
Right. So they're not. If you ask anyone who's British, right, and talk to any Brit, they like the Queen, or most Brits do, and the very simple reason is as follows: they may have their policy differences with their fellow countrymen, but the reality is that for them, as far as they're concerned, it's nice that they have a head of state who's beyond the partisanship, right? Someone who just likes England and works tirelessly for the English people. Where we're talking about people who go to war for Britain. Like the kids are all like in the army, in those types of positions, and then they go and they represent Britain abroad, and they speak very well. And so, but the thing about the Queen is that she was, people say bad things about the Queen, and we've seen a lot of this on Twitter, especially the left really hates the royal family. But the thing about Queen Elizabeth is that she actually served her country during World War II, not as a queen, but she was one of the royal household, and she worked very closely with the people during World War II. So yeah, no, I think a lot of people respect her as a head of state, and I would have to say, I guess I do too. There's something nice about a head of state who's not playing petty politics.
Yeah, no, it's very nice to see. I remember like my friend was telling me like just how much power she has, like technically. Like for example, he was talking about how like when you buy property in England, you're technically buying it from the Queen because she owns all the land in the UK. And so I was like to him, wait, so if she wants, she can buy it back from you. He's like, I mean, he's like, technically, if she really wants to, yes, but she's not going to. So I'm like, he's like, the only way it goes back to the Queen is if, let's say, you can't afford to, or let's say like you die and then, you don't have like kids to take it over, and then the bank doesn't want to take the property back, then it will go back to the Queen or something. I don't know, very interesting.
But it's
Uh,
more than that, though. Like, think about according to British law, the only person that doesn't need a driver's license is the Queen, and it's for a technical reason. The reason is that the Queen is the one that issues driver's license.
oh my God.
So she can't issue a driver's license to herself, so she just doesn't need a driver's license.
I mean, also, I mean, she's probably not driving. She's being driven around.
No, but technically, if she wanted to drive a car, she wouldn't. Or now the king does, I
That's really
suppose. But
funny. I didn't think of that. Oh wow.
yeah, but that's kind of like
What about
where the
passport? Because she's also issuing the passport.
yeah. So she doesn't have a passport.
But like for other countries though, like that's the thing. It's like the thing is with the driver's license, that's like within the country. So it's like because it's her country. But if you're going to other countries that don't follow your rules, then I would assume like you do need a passport because in order to get into those countries. Unless,
So you would assume, but the thing is that who doesn't know that if you don't let the Queen of England into your country, you're essentially declaring war on England. Like that's the thing. So like passports are for like the little people. They're not for the people that show up in private jets. Like even then, like
I'm just
she's
wondering if they
not
would do
being
the same thing
processed
for
like
other
commercial
monarchs.
flight. Probably, yeah, but but she is the most the royal family of England is the most recognizable royal
Monarch.
family in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're easily the most recognizable. So,
But yeah,
uh,
do you think, I mean, do you think this was is going to change anything, economically or, as such in the world?
I don't think it's going to change anything economically. What I think might happen is if you change the monarch, right? Let's say King Charles, right? He goes and he starts making a mess of things. England's reputation abroad will falter, right? Whereas if King Charles he does a very good job, it might improve, right? There are a lot of people saying that King Charles just does not have what it takes to fill Elizabeth's shoes, as it were.
At the same time,
Uh,
it's probably going to be a very short monarch also because he's old.
he is very old. I'm actually kind of looking for what's his name, Prince William, the one who's married to Kate Middleton.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to him taking the throne. Actually, that would be kind of neat
Why?
because he looks like a respectable human being. He looks like he's a serious person.
Hmm. All right. Well, I guess we'll see.
Like he married a good girl. I think Kate Middleton's a very good girl. Um, Harry was is kind of a degenerate. He's a bit of a loser. He
Well,
married Meghan
I
Markle.
mean, he can't become king anymore. He was, I wouldn't say dethroned. What's the word?
He was disowned. He
Yeah,
was
something like that.
he abdicated his right to rule. He's essentially he's not in the royal family anymore. No, but in general, like no one likes Prince Harry anymore because he's kind of a degenerate, and his wife sits there and badmouths the Queen all the time, or used to. Now I suppose she has to shut up. Although the worst thing she could do is start badmouthing the Queen now.
Hmm. All right.
But it's crazy. Like my entire life, Queen Elizabeth was the Queen of England.
Yeah, I thought she was never gonna die.
Yeah, no, I was thinking I'd be telling my kids about like how Elizabeth is gonna outlast all of us.
Oh, it was really funny. I was speaking to one of my friends, and she's like, oh, she died. Like I thought she was already dead.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah, no, but to the longest lasting Queen of England, the oldest Queen of England, and someone who I guess shaped the world. She was a very powerful figure. We salute you, Queen Elizabeth, even though we're a bunch of revolutionary scum Americans. We respect it. We respect the Queen.
Yeah.
And hey, listen. Hopefully, King Charles will do a good job filling those shoes, and if not, we have Prince William to look forward to. Anyways, that's topic number one. Topic number two, we have to talk about this is kind of what you have to talk about this. There's no way around it. This is something that everyone was talking about last week. Biden made a very evil speech last week.
Yeah, how so?
It was, well, it kind of reminded me of that scene from The Force Awakens where that Nazi guy, where the redhead ginger Nazi guy was yelling at all those stormtroopers.
It looks so evil. Oh my God. And then you have like the two soldiers in the background. Like it really, like, really I think he was going for red because you also see blue in the background. So I think he was going for red, blue, and white. But just bad choice of color. Oh my
Well, that's the
God.
thing. It was going for the American flag. It's just it wasn't. Whatever intern decided, whatever it needs to be fired. This was
Yeah.
just so bad. Unless they were doing it on purpose, which I'm beginning to think they were, because you cannot see that and be like, "Oh, that's not evil." You can't look at.
Republican intern sabotaging the speech by changing the
No,
color.
I did. No, I think it was a Democrat taking the piss. I think it was very lazy writing from the authors. I think this season of Biden's presidency is getting a bit lazy. They're not being very subtle with how evil he is. They're letting it all go. It's
Last time on Biden's Adventures, we left our heroes or villain. Uh,
it's like in The Boys where it turns out that the main character is actually the villain.
yeah,
Sorry,
so I
spoiler
mean,
alert.
it's funny because like you learn it's basic like media and like film, like it's literally basic knowledge that colors have meaning and that movies will put color in their movies to portray certain emotions. So like whoever you would have to have like been working in media or studying media to be working on the set, for this speech. So it's basic knowledge that you should know that like red represents, like evil or anger, stuff like that. So it's
That's why in Star Wars the bad guys always have red lightsabers,
exactly. So it's a
right?
big blunder on their part because it's basic knowledge that colors have meaning.
But
So,
I don't think it was a blunder. That's the thing. I don't think the person who made that decision was trying to convince Trump supporters to vote for Joe Biden.
of course
I
not.
think that right. I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to rally the supporters. That's what I think they were trying to do. It's interesting because Joe Biden in the speech said that the MAGA Republicans, what was it Joe Biden said about MAGA Republicans? He basically said that MAGA Republicans are a threat to democracy. Never mind the fact that America is not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, and they're not the same thing, and they shouldn't be treated the same. Fair enough, right? But
Howdy
he
different.
kind of what?
You want to just give a brief of how
Well,
it's different?
democracy is like rule of the people, right? So technically, anything that goes, it's democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting for what's for dinner, right? Um,
Okay. Okay.
right, but a constitutional republic is much more of there's democratic elements, but fundamentally the power it's more about rule by law, not rule by the people. There's no democracy versus oligarchy versus monarchy. It's all about who rules, right? But when it comes to a constitutional republic, the rule really is the law. That is the law, right? And there's a body of law that is set, and no one can change it except for like in certain rare instances, or there's certain procedures. So you can't just vote like, oh, we vote this guy off the island. It doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what a constitutional republic is. But for ignoring that distinction for a second, Joe Biden said like MAGA Republicans are a threat to the democracy of the United States, which we're not, but whatever. But then he made a distinction between like moderate Republicans and MAGA Republicans. But here's the thing: most Republicans, and when I say most, I mean like an overwhelming majority, like 97%, of Republicans support Donald Trump.
So that would make them MAGA, essentially.
Yeah. So essentially, he said half the country is a threat to democracy. This is a lot of people were comparing it to a war speech, actually.
Uh-huh. That's very
Right. So
interesting.
you got heightened tensions between the two main factions in the country. You've got Antifa destroying everything in the summer of love in 2020. You had a guy who literally walked up to a Trump supporter, shot him right in the stomach, point blank,
That's
a couple of
terrible.
years ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
happened
think
a
I
couple of
remember
years
that.
ago. Yeah. And remember, not a single person on either side trusts all the elections. Whether it's the Democrats who don't trust the 2016 election or the 2000 election, or you have the Republicans that don't trust the 2020 election. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's the reality. The elections in the United States are compromised because no one believes the results of the elections. If
Mm-hmm.
your guy wins, it's the democratic process. If your guy loses, it's the Russians, or it's the Chinese, or it's the Germans, or it's the Israelis, or the Jews, or whatever it is, right? There's always someone to blame. Although I suppose the Jews, it wouldn't be out of character to blame the Jews for anything. Um,
uh,
no, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, we
yeah, I
don't
get it.
have election, right? We don't have elections. So Joe Biden making this speech where he essentially calls half the country a threat to democracy, that's a war speech, and it wasn't lost on the people at MSNBC, and it wasn't lost on the people at CNN, and that's where they were running all these, you know, pieces and segments where they were talking about war speech. That was the thing people were talking about, war speech. So, do you think there's going to be a civil war?
No, I don't think there's gonna be a civil war at all.
I I kind of think the civil war is already happening.
There might be a civil war, but not in the sense of what you're thinking. There's not gonna be like I don't think there's gonna be like a battle. There's not gonna be a battle at all.
No, no. When people say the Civil War, they're referring to the American Civil War. But the American Civil War is actually quite interesting because most civil wars do not happen like the American Civil War.
It's usually what like culturally and socially more
No, it's
than
no,
physical
no, no, no.
battle.
No. What's interesting about the American Civil War is that the country already had these kind of ways to fragment itself through the state system. And because in the olden days, I'm sure there's some remnant of this, but back in the day, the army was not a unified thing. It was each state had their own militia, right? So when the states split up, right, there were already standing armies on both sides.
Yeah, today it's different. Well, there each state doesn't have a militia, but the entire country has a military.
I think no, I think the National Guard is considered like the militia.
Oh, I don't know, but no, I think I get it though.
It's going to be much more like guerrilla warfare, assaults with different groups, factionalism. So like you might have like Antifa on one side, Proud Boys on the other. That's what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
but I don't know. More like a gang war.
Yeah, but it's yeah. Although the thing is that wars typically, again, watch Tim Pool. I'm really just saying what Tim Pool is saying. War is not done on the battlefield anymore. War is much more done informationally. It's
Yes.
about having superior propaganda, having
Yes.
superior optics. It's about having control of the narrative. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's. But I think we're already in a civil war, and the fact that
Yeah.
Joe Biden makes the speech confirms. I think anyone who is in doubt needs to look at this speech and go, maybe we are in a civil war. Maybe it's getting pretty bad out here.
I mean, I think it's pretty bad. I don't think it's gonna, break out into a war, but I mean, obviously the country is divided in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I would just remember this. Like, just think about it this way: half the country is convinced that the other half of the country is voting for bad things. Like, think about it. Like when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, right? Think about how many people thought that Republicans were coming after women. It wasn't that they disagreed on a policy. It wasn't even that they they felt they were shoving religion down their throat. They felt that half the country was oppressing women.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at the moment. I mean, it's not like a new observation. It's just this is a wartime speech made by a wartime president when the presidency itself is a battleground, right? In 2016, the Republicans won the presidency and they had Donald Trump for 4 years, and now the Democrats won. Now you could say they won unfairly and this, that, and that's that's a different question. But I'm saying, regardless of who won fair and square, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on the ground who actually won. No one can debate it was the Democrats because the Democrats are in power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we're in a time when the presidency is essentially like king of the hill. It's not about who has the best position, and it's much more just which party can finagle their way into power. And we're seeing this in real time. And this is what Biden is doing with the bully pulpit, as it were. But yeah, it was an evil speech, but it's important to know what he did.
Yeah. What do you think about what CNN did?
What?
What do you think about what CNN did when they changed the color?
That was hilarious. They were actually changing the color of the background as he was speaking on CNN. This is incredible. That was some of the most naked partisanship I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they probably. Yeah.
That I think it was either CNN or the New York Times. You know that they would tint Donald Trump's skin more orange to kind of make him the evil orange man.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, color, conveys meaning. And
no,
so
I that's definitely true, but it's funny because they would accuse him of being the evil orange man, but how much of the evil orange man was just because they tinted his skin more orange? They made his spray tan more fake.
They just exaggerated it. So like, yeah, he has a tan and that's why, people say he's the orange man, but it's not like really like orange. So I guess they would change it to make it, more orange.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're like 70 years old and you show up here's the secret about television. Most people on television, even the men, wear makeup.
Oh, of course. It's a given.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked that no one points this out because the reality is that while it's true that Trump has like a fake tan, the reality is it's probably more because he's on television all the time and you just need makeup to look good on television because of all the lights that are necessary.
Well, I mean, you don't need a tan makeup, yeah, you do wear, but you don't need a tan. The tan is probably the tan is probably separate from being on TV.
Okay, but it's not that crazy. It's not like a crazy tan. I'm sure if you met Donald Trump in person, he'd still look mostly white.
Probably.
Yeah. It's not such a crazy tan. Like they exaggerated how orange he is. But I think the key thing here is how I guess the key of this discussion is how the images and the media they shape the discussion. There are a lot of I guess this has to do with did we speak about this before where there's the factual and there's the super factual, right?
Do you want to explain it again?
Yeah, so I consider I was thinking about this and there are three types of things, right? There's the not factual. There are things that are just not true, right? If let's say you say 2 + 2 = 5, it's just not true. It's not factual, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the factual, right? 2 + 2 = 4, right? That's factual, right? But then the super factual is something beyond 2 + 2 = 4. It's like I don't know. If you have two quarters and you get another 2 quarters, you could buy a cup of coffee. That's the super factual. That's how people think about 2 + 2 = 4, right?
Okay, I guess. I don't really understand it, but okay.
Basically, the factual or the facts and the figures. They're the things that are very provable. But the super factual, the things that people know that are true.
So it's like 2 + 2 = so 2 plus two quarters plus two quarters, which would equal $1, okay, can buy you a cup of coffee, you're saying.
Right. It's what the value of 2 + 2 = 4 is, right? It's what that means, right?
Okay.
Right. Even if it's not factual necessarily in the sense that it's not purely like
Like what you
facts and
can do with
figures.
the information?
Not only what you could do with the information, it's the emotions and the feelings, right? It's what does 2 + 2 = 4 mean to you? What does a cup of coffee mean to you, right? Does a cup of coffee mean like a good time spent with friends? Is it what gets you out of bed in the morning? Like
That's getting
that's what
very
the super
philosophical.
it well, that's the point, right? The point of the imagery, right? It's not yes. There are certain things that are true about the Biden administration and the Trump administration, and it's all well and good. But if you just start citing facts and figures, you're not going to convince anyone to vote for your candidate. It's about the narrative, it's about the story, right? That's why Biden, using the background that he did, it's very important, right? It's why Trump won in 2016, because yes, Trump could have started rattling off facts and figures about the difference between like 1970 and now, but he told a story about how America was great and then it fell out of favor, and we're going to make America great again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the super factual. It's the narrative. It's the overarching story,
Hmm. That's interesting.
right? It's the difference between analyzing the Genesis story. You know, like the Genesis story where God creates the universe.
Yeah.
It's the difference between analyzing the Genesis story literally and saying God created light and darkness on the first day, versus understanding that the Genesis story has a more esoteric meaning that's much more important than how the world was actually created in reality, right? That's the difference between the factual and the super factual,
Uh-huh. That's very interesting.
right? So yeah, so I guess that's topic number 2. In terms of topic number 3, let's talk about gas-powered cars and why California is flunking on gas-powered cars. Do you want to tell me what I showed you today?
So earlier, before, Luke showed me a picture of someone charging their Tesla with a gas-powered generator.
Which, by the way, wasn't the only picture. There were like lots of pictures
Oh yeah,
online.
there are a lot. It was like it was. I didn't realize what was like happening, like why people were doing that. I mean, would you like to explain it, people?
Yeah, yeah. But so first, I wanna point out that in already I see like the first thing was pick of gas generator charging Tesla, like Snopes.com fact check. Of course, the fact checkers are gonna sit there and be like, no, 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 what you're seeing doesn't make sense. It's all a lie. Your eyes deceive you. Trust the fact checkers. No, no, no. Obviously not. Your eyes are not fooling you. There are gas generators charging Teslas on the highway in California, and it's for a very simple reason, because California is currently burning the candle on both ends.
Really? How?
So basically, California started banning the sale of cars, of gas powered cars, by 2035. So you have 13 years to buy a gas powered car before the gas comes to, before they close the valve, as it were.
That's
Um,
very interesting.
yes.
Are they the
But on
only
the other
state
hand,
doing that?
to my knowledge, yes. I mean, if you have a different state doing that, then let me know. But as it stands, California is the only one banning the sale of gas powered vehicles by 2035. On the other hand, they're also banning things like nuclear power plants. They want to rely
Why?
completely on. Okay, so let's explain, right?
So
Let's
many
explain.
questions.
Right, so many questions. So there's a lot of people out there who think Tesla car equals green energy equals gooder for the environment, right? And on a certain level, that is true. Let's be honest. It is better for the environment if the energy coming out of the car is electric and it's not gas necessarily, because it matters also where it is, right? Like think about if everyone's driving a gas car in a city, instead of it spewing like fumes, It's like it's doing it somewhere else, and in the city, it's a lot cleaner air. Let's be honest, right? That's probably I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it could be true. Just from like I don't know if it's true, but it just sounds true. You know what I mean? So I think on some level, yeah, it probably is true. If we switch to electric cars, we probably are helping at least our environment. So in that respect, like, okay, fine, that's great. But the problem is that electric cars themselves use gas, right?
Yes.
And so there's a lot of people that think like, oh, if we have a gas problem in the United States because of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia and how they stopped the pipeline, whatever, then let's just switch to electric cars. Right? Let's right, but they don't realize that that's not how that works. They don't realize it moves the onus onto the power plants, but it doesn't change the amount of gas. In fact, it might make it more. I'm sure if you did the math, it might be more. It might use a different type of energy. It's not green energy.
Yeah. And then you're just putting strain on the gas system.
Right. So a lot of people actually in California, they're having problems with blackouts in California. And then there were a bunch of these smart cooling systems in California, like these smart ACs that just shut off power because the governor ordered them to shut off power.
God.
And think about it in the summer in California. Think about how hot it can be in California.
Yeah. Like it's like peak season. Well, it's almost the end of summer, but it still is summer.
Right. So that's the issue, right? You're burning the candle at both ends. The thing about this is that if they had nuclear power plants, if this was done by, I wouldn't even necessarily have a problem with getting rid of gas cars if they were doing it intelligently. Because let's face it, if you live in a city, it is nice to not be breathing in fumes. That's just the reality, right? I'm not against regulating things if a regulation will actually help someone, right? I don't believe in this philosophy of get off my lawn at all costs. If you live in the city, people are on your lawn. That's the reality. So you got to regulate things so you're not stepping on each other's toes. That's just that is just the nature of a big city. So if a place like Los Angeles or San Francisco wants to ban gas cars and they have the infrastructure to do so and they know how to do it and they know what they're going to need in order to make sure that everyone's driving electric, that's not a problem. But the problem is it seems it's more ideological than practical. And we can see that because they don't know how to do it properly. The proper way to do this would be to generate electricity with nuclear. That's the best form of green energy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But the reason why they're not going after green energy in that way, and they're doing things like solar panels and windmills, which by the way also hurt the environment. The windmills interrupt the birds; they kill a lot of birds, and they're just unsightly and they give people headaches. The reason why they're doing all these alternative forms of power is because with nuclear we don't have to suffer. We can continue using energy with nuclear. We could generate much more energy, and we could be much more wasteful. But with things like solar panels and with wind energy, there's a certain level of giving you have to do. You have to sacrifice, right? And that's what they want. That's what these people want. This was pointed out in the Lotus Eaters, by the way. I'm not making this up. This is a theory they came up with, and I'm inclined to agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a dilemma that they're going through. So that you're burning things on both ends. So you can't do one without the other.
Right, yeah. So I'm just curious as to because now they're trying to get it to punish people for leaving California because so many people are leaving California to go to Texas, Florida, other places, right?
What
So they're
punishment
trying
was
to
like a fee or something?
no, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say like you still owe taxes to California for like a couple of years after leaving. So like you
Are
can't
you
leave and get out
serious?
of paying. Yeah,
That is total BS, okay? Trying to keep this PG here.
it doesn't matter if California legislates that they're going to punish people for leaving. That's the reality.
That
But
is
as it stands right,
so BS.
well, that's the reality. California is a nightmare because people in California. Here's the thing about California. I'm sure there are some really smart people in California, like all two of you. Maybe you're the absolute chads listening to this show from California, and to that I say, congratulations. Now get the F out of California, because it seems because it seems like California is not interested in actually doing anything important. They're interested in the ideology, the cult. They're not interested in actually solving the climate crisis, right? Which, by the way, I think just as a matter of like, I don't think it's urgent, but yeah, I like when the climate is nice. I like when the air is fresh and crisp and clean, and there's less noise, and I like when saving power. I like the environment, right? I don't like when there's trash on the floor. I think if you were honestly interested in solving the problem, Republicans and Democrats could get together on, for example, cleaning the ocean, right? There probably is some sort of solution for cleaning the ocean, not necessarily from government, but just as a reality, there probably does need to be some sort of solution to the ocean problem.
There's a lot of trash.
Not just trash.
The eighth continent of the world. Heard of that one?
Not just trash. I don't even think that's the problem. I think it's the microplastics that are in the water.
Yes, and then the fish are eating them, and then you eat the fish, and then you're basically consuming the plastic yourself.
Yeah, that's a big issue, right? I'm totally for solving that. Right, we're stewards of the earth. We're supposed to be solving this. But for Democrats, I don't think it's about solving the issue. It's about prostrating to the sun god. And so you have this issue of that's why they're doing this, because they're not interested in solving problems. They're interested in making people suffer. Similar to how you might afflict yourself on Yom Kippur, which is coming up. You might afflict yourself by not wearing shoes, and you might not eat, and you might not, do certain things. But when it comes to this religion, they afflict yourself by saying, oh, you need to turn off the AC, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. Oh, you need to buy the electric car. You need to eat the bugs. You need to, drink the sewage, for the planet. Live in the pod. Don't own things. Be happy. That's kind of what they're doing. And we're seeing this right now. We're seeing the outcome of this ideology, where it's much more interested in just doing the thing and not actually solving any problems.
All right.
Yeah,
so that's our show for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. If you want to follow our content, you can watch our show on YouTube or Rumble, or you can follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms. If you want to reach out, feel free to reach out on Instagram or YouTube at the right side of the compass. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time.